Good morning. Welcome on into another edition of ColaTown on a Monday. Glad to have you on board. ColaTown, our city, our stories. My name is Kevin Cohen. Happy to be with you from now until 10 o'clock. Always bringing in new guests, new ideas, some dynamic people to talk about different things. And we're excited to actually we get a chance to welcome back someone today that's been with us before that we said when we have something new to add, when we're going to do some measurements, we're going to do this, then we're going to come back and talk about it. She kept her word. Nicole Broner's here with us, and Nicole is here with us from the city of Columbia to talk a little bit about the pedestrian count, the bike count, all that stuff. You were here a while back, and you said, once we get some data, can we come back? Mm-hmm. I was like, well, if you're going to study the data, we need to know what the results are and what we're figuring out and what we need to do better. And so you said, I'll keep my word. I'll come back, and here you are. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming back.
I'm happy to be back.
I'm glad I didn't drive you away so badly the first time that you're willing to come back. So thank you for that.
Of course,
Yay.
of course.
How's your summer?
Oh, my summer's going great.
Yeah?
First summer in South Carolina.
Really? Now, let's go back because I do want to introduce you again to the listening folk here at The Point. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, what brought you to Columbia, all that.
Absolutely. So I'm actually an Ohio native.
Right.
So I'm coming from the Midwest.
Right.
And I'm coming down here because I'm following my passion and things I've studied in, which is multimodal transportation and active transportation.
Right. Where in Ohio?
I'm from Dayton.
Okay. I drove through Dayton, I guess about a month and a half ago on my way to Detroit because our family's from Detroit. So my family's from Detroit, and so we took the kids up to see a baseball game and do some other stuff up and see some family in Detroit. Then we went to Chicago and all that stuff on the way home. We had a good family vacation. We did. Although it's not a vacation when you drive places, that's a trip.
Yes,
I've come to learn that a vacation's when you go on a cruise or something and you put your feet up for a week. A trip is where you go spot to spot to spot and you stop at different things and do different things. That's a trip.
Yeah, that was a whole journey for you.
Exactly. But Dayton,
yes.
So you're a Dayton Flyer.
I'm actually a Xavier Musketeer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's close by.
Yes.
But yeah. Right. Okay. I think I made the same mistake last time when you said Dayton.
No, it's okay.
Anyway,
it's okay.
But you're from where Dayton University. Okay. So anyway, good stuff. Well, so this is your first summer.
Yes.
How are you handling the heat?
The heat
is what you expected or overwhelming?
It's what I expected, but it's also it's different. I was never really used to the wet heat.
Yeah.
So it's just like
the humidity.
Yeah.
Nicole, today's feels like temperature is 109.
Oh my.
Yeah. But it's important though because you are dealing with your job with people who are outside, who are actually wanting to be outside, who are riding bikes and who are going for walks and things like that. And part of your job, as I understand it, is we want to make sure that they have safe passage.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the job description, the department you work with, all that stuff.
Yeah. So with multimodal transportation, our department really looks into active transportation. So think of sidewalks, greenways, trails, getting access to parks. We want to make sure that anyone that wants to access those things, especially during the summer when a lot of kids and a lot of families want to be out and be active, they have the chance to do so and do so in a very safe environment and get there safely as well.
People, and I was talking about this when I was previewing ColaTown with our morning show this morning. I was talking about the fact that this is another one of those jobs and another one of those things that's in the background that we pay very little attention to in terms of the citizens, because the only time is when something bad happens. Yeah. That's the kind of job you want. You want to be in the background with what you do because the only time we're going to hear about it is when, heaven forbid, there's a bicycle accident and somebody gets hit or a pedestrian gets hit, things like that. If we're all doing our job and people are behaving and being smart, then you guys can stay in the background and just keep people safe.
Yes.
Fair?
Yes, that's exactly what we'd like to do. Like when it comes to any sort of active transportation or multimodal transportation, we want to make sure that our roadways are safe for everyone. Drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, everyone in between.
So let's go back in time to when you were first here with us a little earlier in our ColaTown days. And you said, well, we're doing some studies. You even encouraged people to get involved with those studies to help us do measurements and things like that. Take me through what the goal was then, and then we'll start to we'll start to reveal what some of the results have told us.
Absolutely. So during that time, we were having a public session where we were finalizing some of our high injury network corridors and intersections. So these are areas that we are seeing a lot more pedestrian strikes and cyclist strikes. So part of that was to look at these segments and figure out which ones we would want to consider to be at the forefront of all of this.
Right. So you guys were trying to figure out where the hot spots are, if you would, and you were trying to figure out why, because you have to know where first, and then you can look at the why, and then you can look at the how. Can we prevent that? Is that all kind of the way this thing works?
Yes, it was looking at what times of day, like what people were doing, like how the signals are, like what their segments are. We're also looking at how pedestrians and cyclists use any sort of like stop sign if they're using the street, or even if there's even a sidewalk present. Sure.
Let's talk about bikes for a moment, because they're certainly entitled to their space, and they're certainly entitled to safety. That's not a lot to ask. We should be able to make sure we provide them a safe passage. Bicycling is a wonderful hobby and a nice mode of transportation if you can use it for whatever. But the thing that frustrates a lot of drivers is that sometimes bike drivers do not think that they need to be stopping at stop signs, or they don't follow the laws of the road themselves. And there's no way to keep someone safe if they're coming up on an intersection and they're not willing to stop at that intersection because they don't want to lose the momentum. Because, again, it's hot. It's 100 degrees out. It takes effort to stop and start, and that I get that. But, I mean, are you finding that some of the bicycle accidents that have happened over the years, are they because the bicyclists are being ignored, or are they doing so because they're not following proper protocol, or all the above, or how does it work?
Well, when we look at these types of strikes, we don't really want to place blame. We want to make sure that when we look at any sort of situation, because they will change from like situation to situation, like are these like sections of road, are they actually safe for everyone? Like, is there a separate bike facility for cyclists to do what they need to do? Is there something where they do see the signs?
Well, okay, and I came at that wrong from the standpoint of blame. That's not necessarily what I'm thinking. But I mean, the city can do everything in their power to make it safe for somebody, but if a bicyclist is not going to stop at a stop sign and is just going to proceed through, there's a reason why it's a stop sign. It's for all vehicles to stop because someone might be coming the other way. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, the rules of the road do apply to everyone.
So that's all I'm saying. It's not so much a blame as much as just it is, are we finding that even when the city takes proper precautions, are the bicyclists following those precautions?
So with our findings, we are analyzing that most of the strikes do tend to happen at like these certain intersections where sometimes the signals aren't relaying either a pedestrian-led or a bicycle-led interval the way it should, or we are just seeing that sometimes the signage isn't clear, like people can't see it. So when we want to influence and improve some of these sections and segments, we are really looking at various strategies and toolkits to actually implement so they can be safe for everyone.
All right, let's do our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Nicole. I got a couple of things to ask specific, then we're going to get into some of the data. Stick around. This is ColaTown on The Point. Welcome back to ColaTown on this Monday. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We have with us Ms. Nicole Broner from the city of Columbia talking to us about bike and pedestrian counts and why that matters, and why even if you have not walked the city or ridden a bike through the city, of course it affects all of us as drivers, because we want, if we're driving a vehicle, we want to make sure that the people who are trying to cross, the worst imaginable thing is that one of us hit somebody or cause an accident ourselves. So I told you I had something I wanted to throw your way, and that was about the concept of you guys study to make sure there's enough time to get across from A to B when you're crossing an intersection. And the mayor talks all about, he wants more people to be able to move downtown, live downtown, not just students, but also retirees and things like that. We have an aging population, Nicole, so we have to make sure there's enough time when the light changes for someone to get across. Here's my question to you guys, because there has to be cooperation because a lot of these roads have nothing to do with the city of Columbia. They're all DOT controlled. So you can provide them data, but isn't it up to DOT to make the adjustments?
So when we do provide those types of recommendations, what is nice is that DOT does work hand in hand with us whenever possible.
Right.
So
because they control like 73% of the roads
yes.
in the city.
Yep.
Is what the mayor told me, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to any sort of signalized intersection, we are seeing some re-signalization studies happening in the downtown corridor. Mm-hmm. And one of the recommendations that we are having is having an all walk, which is not necessarily a blitz, but everyone on all four corners can split and just go through the intersection and cross over. Or we're having pedestrian-led intervals, which is before anyone turns or before anyone has to go like straight through.
Sure.
You have your pedestrians like get through the intersection first, and then you have your cars
right.
and bikes.
And you got to figure out, this is a challenge for you guys with DOT, is the balance, because you want to give people enough time to get across a road, yes. but at the same time you don't want to create a traffic jam because I'm going to take my time getting across this road. Meanwhile, the traffic's backing up and backing up and backing up. And next thing you know, for one person, you've got 40 extra cars that didn't make it through a light.
Yes.
And they have to get to work. And then you get the road rage and you get the desperation and people take chances. And that's how people get hurt.
Yes.
And I mean, again, this might not be real sexy to the average listener. This is really and truly what a major city has to do to keep people safe. And we are getting to the point with the city of Columbia, and I like this, where because of the connectivity we have in all the different districts around the city of Columbia, we are seeing more people who want to walk. Yes. The biggest one that we hear about is, hey, I just finished up at Soda City. Now I want to walk over to Finley Park. Well, getting across Assembly is not always the easiest thing to do. So there's stuff like that you guys are studying to make sure everybody can get where they want to go, but also do so safely.
Exactly. So the City of Columbia's engineering, our planning and development, our public works, all of us, we are working really close with DOT, especially when it comes to crossing Assembly, and especially when it comes to getting to Finley Park, because right. that connectivity to one of our major urban destinations is going to be very key to what we have like coming up in the future.
Right.
Because I'm not sure if you've heard, but we are looking at Congaree at Riverfront.
Yes.
So that is going to be a major.
That's next on the list.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, everything with that and with Hugie Street, another major intersection with a heavy traffic pattern and a lot of speed on that traffic pattern also. And so there's a lot of things, the mayor's talked to us a little bit about potentially changing and putting in down the middle of Taylor Street, maybe putting in some medians there and some beautification and that kind of stuff. But that's worth losing a lane in order to create more safety and easier crossing of Taylor Street to get into Finley Park, that kind of stuff. So yes. The bottom line here is stay tuned.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in the works, but the good news is the city is aware of this and is trying to do things to make this more pedestrian friendly, because you never know. Again, I mentioned that might be somebody that never rides their bike ever downtown. But what happens when you want to take your kids to Finley Park? That's a lot more people you're not talking about. What happens when it's your parents and maybe they don't get around as quickly as you do or as some younger people do, and it's your mom and your dad, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we're looking into all that. But you still need the public's help.
Yes, we do.
So that brings us to what's coming up in September.
So, yes, in September, between September 12th and the 26th, we are doing our semi-annual bicycle and pedestrian count. If you would like to sign up, those dates are available on our website. If you go to the Multimodal Transportation Resources page, they will have a sign-up sheet, and you can pick your days. We count throughout that entire section of time, and we only just need about 2 hours.
Right. So this is something where you can volunteer, and it's like there's weekends, there's weekdays,
yes.
And again, it's like a couple-hour block, and you quite literally you volunteer. So let's just take me through the process.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I'd like to volunteer, Nicole. I'm going to the website, City of Columbia website, finding the modal that you're talking about for planning and development, and I want to volunteer. I see I've got like all these different choices. What do I do now?
So what you do is you just select the date that you deem available for yourself, and then you will pick a location. And from that location, it will just say you either count from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., or if you do a weekend, that is 10 a.m. to noon. And then from there, you will be able to just go park or sit, because it's still in September/August. That the heat,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
really worried about the heat.
Sure.
But just bring something nice to sip on, like bring a sweet treat and
Right.
enjoy some
Right.
people watching.
Yeah, and again, it's quite literally, you can do it on a Saturday, or you guys have, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays
Yep.
that you can choose from. And 10 to noon, 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning, different slots like that, depending on people's schedule
Yep.
to make it as convenient as possible for those. So this sounds like it'd be very good for like some retirees
Yes.
or people that because I mean a lot of others are going to be at work on especially the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday aspect. But I mean, if you've got a Saturday morning, how cool will it be? Go do this for a couple hours and then make your way over to the last hour or two of Soda City or head over to Finley Park yourself, that kind of thing. So again, they go to the City of Columbia website, and then there's a page to click on for the planning and development, right?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is something that you can help out. It starts on September the 12th, and then there's days the 12th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 26th, all these days available for 2-hour blocks that you can help. So they'll sign up, and then basically you guys will get in touch with them and tell them this is where you're going to be. Do they need to come pick up anything, or how does it work in terms of like paperwork and all?
So when it comes to the paperwork, you can either print out the form and fill out that way, or I've had some people just have it on their phone and then just mark it off that way. I would also like to encourage students to do this as well, because there are some professors out there that are going to allow for extra credit if they do actually come out and count.
And a lot of these students are the ones that we're trying to protect the most, because they're the ones that are walking a lot from A to B to C to D when it comes to getting around campus and things like that. Because it's not just USC. It's also Allen and Benedict and all that, and so Columbia College. We have a number of different places where there are high traffic areas that we want to keep everybody safe with, and that's essential. So retirees and students, if you've got some time and you want, and if you don't, if you're listening right now and you do this and you don't get extra credit, I'll give you a gift card to one of our restaurants here at the radio station if you sign up. Anybody that signs up, get in touch with me. And if Nicole signs your report card, then I'll give you a gift card from here at the Point to go to a restaurant here in town as a gift.
Ooh,
Deal?
See? Love that incentive.
Well, I just want people to care. I want people to care, because this is something that this is for all of our benefit. Again, I don't ride a bicycle downtown. I ride a bicycle. I'm starting to ride a bicycle more. And it's a good thing. I'm getting a little more fitness driven, but that's another day, another story. But,
Love it.
But I'm just saying, we got to keep these people safe. They have every bit as much of a right to the road as cars do, and the results are not good when car meets bike. And so let's just avoid that. Let's keep people safe and do this kind of stuff. So let's go back to the results for a sec.
Yes.
Have you found something that in your year here, have you found data that is eye-opening in the sense that, wait, we had no idea this was such a hot spot, or that kind of stuff? Have you found spots that are gaining, because new student housing is in certain areas, and that's increasing traffic dramatically in certain spots?
Yes. So when we actually looked at the data, we did have
some spikes.
Yes. So one of them, once Finley Park became operational and it opened, Taylor Street then started becoming a hot spot. Assembly started becoming a hot spot, and even all the way up to Two Notch.
Right,
and
really?
Yeah, Monticello.
Yeah.
Monticello.
Okay. Monticello, depends on who you talk to. All I know is it's Hugie, not Huger.
Yes.
And it's Gervais, not Gervais. I've first thing I learned 32 years ago here was don't call it Huger or Hooger.
See,
it's Hugie Street.
I kept saying Cougar Street,
Right.
and people were looking at me like, what are you
don't do
saying?
that. Don't
Yep.
do that. But so there's spots all over the place.
Yes.
I think about Blossom and Hugie,
Yeah.
where all those student housing is going in. You're going to have traffic there. We've already had a lot of traffic because of the baseball stadium there also, but you're going to have so much more traffic with all the student housing going in there. So many people biking and walking to campus from there, to classes from there, and things like that. We just have to change with the times.
Yes. And what's really nice is some of these results are already published onto our website.
Good.
So if you go to our Sharing the Road section of the Planning and Development, you will be able to see the segments that we have looked at and are trying to have preliminary designs for, as well as intersections.
Well, it's important, obviously, that we're doing this stuff. And again, the data is ever-changing. What worked 2 years ago is completely different than today. Because, again, the things we just talked about with new student housing and new patterns and this and that going on. Lane changes, right now Assembly is under some lane changes right now as you're coming into town and things like that. So just, again, pay attention and understand. And most importantly, people, be aware of your surroundings. Stay off your phones and no texting while you're driving. And if you are a bicyclist, please respect the rules of the road, just like you were in a car. These are all important things. Yes. All right, if people want to get involved, last chance, how do we get them involved?
So best way to get involved, when you come to volunteer, just go to our resources page for the multimodal transportation section of our planning and development website, and you can volunteer and sign up right there.
Thank you, Nicole. Great job as always. Appreciate you coming in and helping people. Thanks for being part of ColaTown. We'll come back with our next guest. Stick around. This is The Point.